Hello, everyone. So today we've got Cindy Decker, and we're going to discuss about timelines and 5D, 3D, etc. Now, just before we begin, I would like you to subscribe to my BitChute channel and also to my Telegram channel, which is below in the description of the video. Cindy, I'm really sorry, but did I pronounce your surname correctly?
More or less, it's Decker. It is Dutch, so it's
Okay,
okay.
okay.
It's okay.
Because as soon as I said your surname, I was looking at you and I was thinking, did I say it properly?
It's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh, that's good. So, what, what, what have what can you tell us today? Because I know you wanted to speak to us about 5D and changing timelines, etc. So, where do we begin with this?
So I just want to let you know, like a short introduction. I saw one of the videos that you have done with Charlie last month, where you were discussing timelines in 3D and 5D. And while listening to you and looking through the comments of the people, I felt like guided to reach out to you because I saw the confusion from people, because there's somehow like an expectation of what would have happened or could have happened and did not take place.
Hmm.
And I think that might be like a confusion of people, like, why did this not happen? Or maybe there are people who do not understand the concept of timelines. This is also not my expertise, but the service that I give is more to guide people from 3D to 5D. And that is exactly the movement, the process that we are going through with humanity itself. And for creating timelines, the things that we really would like to see or would like to create or manifest, it's in our own hands.
Right. So, when you say you provide service for people, what kind of services do you provide?
So I offer like alternative services. I work very close together with my own spirit team, Carla, but I also give sound treatments. Lockdown is not an option for me because, or at least it's not an excuse for me, because sound treatments I can give as well for people on distance. I can do sound treatments for people on the other side of the world in another continent. So that is for me no option to say I'm not able to work on myself, because that is possible.
Right. I see. I see. Okay. So, what can you tell us about timelines then?
So what I understand, so whatever I'm going to say is seen from my own perspective, for how I understand things. So the timelines, we all as a person create our own timeline. So how we are going to live our life is being decided by how we are going to create the decisions that we are making. Um, when we are going to concentrate our own life on our own timeline, we are on a collective also working on a certain direction of where we want to go to as humanity, as an entire world. And when there are not too many people on a certain frequency, on a certain vibration, things will develop or unfold in a certain way that people might not have hoped for, or they would have rather seen it in a different way. Because people, you can believe in things to happen, but when it's created from the mind is something different than when you actually hold energetically the belief that something is going to happen, because this way you create, this way you manifest. Does that make sense? When I lose you, let me know.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. You're. So for an example, for me, I mean, this is the way I understand the timeline. So I'll explain it, and then you tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, or and what you think it is. So, for an example, I see the world very differently. Well, me and you see the world very differently
Mm-hmm.
to the way most people see it, because we're awake, we understand about 5D and higher consciousness and stuff like that. So we have a different purpose. When we realized, you know, when we realized this, and we see the world very differently. So there's more inner peace with us, and our desires, the materialistic desires are so, they the desires for that have been reduced massively.
Mm-hmm.
But then whereas other people who believe in the pandemic, who are afraid, who think very materialistic, who just think about, very differently, more like the way we used to think, the way a programmed person would think more, or a typical programmed person would think. because I believe we are still somewhat programmed that we're still working on.
Mm-hmm.
So because we both believe in different, we see the world very differently, and we feel about the world very differently as well. We're living in two different timelines. Is that the way you would describe it?
Yes, I see the same thing. It is reworded in different words, but that is how I see it as well.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And when we all have like maybe when we all become on the same page, so say everyone, you know, goes into the same timeline as us, um and the listeners who are listening as well, because we're all together in this. That's why they're listening to this, because they know, they're aware. So what I'm trying to say is that things would happen a lot faster, because then our consciousness would be ready for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and also what you have just said, like if people would come to our timeline or on our level of awareness, it doesn't mean that we are staying on that level of awareness, because we are going to move on as well, because we are on a different path. We are moving as well, otherwise we would stand still. So the other ones who are still coming on our level of awareness, we are going ahead as well, and then create something new.
So when you say that we will move away from, from it, in what way? Can you give me an example? Like, give me describe how we would feel, or how we would go on with our day to day, or is it a perspective on the world? Is it, how would we move on?
So if I would say, like, if I would take the examples from 3D to 5D, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 3D is a state of doing. We are meant to do things. 5D is a state of being. So we are in 5D, we are more into like being confident, being secure, being abundant. 3D is more that you are relying or depending on something from the outside. 5D is that you are counting on yourself. Does
I
it make
see.
sense?
Yeah, because when you're, I mean, it goes exactly. So with what I was saying, so 5D would be like when you said 3D, sorry, when you said you're relying on the outside, which means fear affects you. Well, not fear doesn't exist; it's an illusion. But you become fearful, because of the things that you rely on the things coming from the outside, and that's what the society and has been structured on.
Yeah,
I see what you
totally.
mean.
Yeah. And it's up to us to actually step out of it. But it's, of course, the choice of a person. Some people say, like, I'm aware that I'm afraid of or something, but they're not ready yet to let it go. So they prefer to be in a fear state because it is part of it is in their comfort zone, is what they know. And then stepping outside of the comfort zone is, for our ego, for our mind, a difficult step to take, because you come into an area that you do not know what's going to happen, because it has not yet been created.
I like that. I like that. And because you haven't created it, it's a muscle. So you have to
Yes,
work on it, and then that muscle becomes stronger and bigger, and then you become unstoppable.
exactly.
So when you feel uncomfortable, you're saying that's okay to feel uncomfortable.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it is like a good sign. Feeling comfortable is a good sign, because you know that something is not in balance. So 3D is out of balance. Out of balance fear is out of balance. Insecurity is out of balance. 5D is being neutral and in balance.
It's really, really interesting. No, you got me thinking, because
Oh, good.
you have to try and absorb it and put it to perspective in your mind, and compare how we've developed. Obviously we've still got such a long way to go,
Yeah.
but but it's really interesting to try and to put it in perspective.
Yeah. And also when you're on this journey of like understanding who you actually are, because 3D, I see it like 3D when I was still like a younger girl, you are told what you are, because you are being compared to others. You are not focused on yourself, you're focused on the external world. And that is how our world is being set up. You have to look outside. Someone else will need to see how you will need to say how you feel. Someone else will need to tell you how to dress, how to behave. And 5D is knowing yourself. And this is the entire process you are going through now. It is like for the mind and the ego state, it is very uncomfortable because it is something new. It is not created yet. It is not part of your comfort zone. But when you go through the entire process, the fear will be transformed into something else. It will become like confidence. It will become being secure about yourself. It is all understanding who you actually are. Because at the end, you will understand you are the one creating.
That's right. And you have peace that way. Because you
Yeah.
find peace from inside, you find love inside, abundance inside. You're not looking for anything outside.
No.
And that's why you probably, and I'm talking for myself as well. When I say you, I mean in plural. I mean, that's why you probably feel that, we like our own companies more. We like being by ourselves more.
Yeah, because you resonate with what you have, what you hold inside.
Absolutely. Yeah. It makes sense. I can totally relate to that. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, good.
So, let's speak more about your services and what you do and what you offer. What is
Okay.
it? Tell me what services you do. What's one of the popular services that you offer, or you provide, and then also take us through the steps and the process of your service.
Okay, so I offer two different services. I will start with one that I got to first, and that is working with spirit. So what you call trance channel. So I lend my body out to spirit to speak. And this way they're able to guide a person from 3D to 5D, looking into your blocks, into your issues. And the team that I work with, they are called Carla, and Carla is just a normal name. It doesn't mean anything. They just took this name because it is how we work on this planet. We call each other by name. This will be an interactive service. So you will have like a one-to-one conversation, or it can be a workshop. So there will be several people, and then they are talking to the group itself. This is all they're guiding the person or the client further into understanding what happened and have a look at it from a different perspective. By only asking questions, that can already release the block in the conversation itself.
Right.
The reason they're asking questions is because the client will need to give approval that they can go that far. Because a person still has free will. It is up to the person to give the option, yes, I want to work on this or not. Some people block it. Some people say like, yes, I'm aware of it and I would like to release it. Let's have a look into this. It is still, spirit cannot force us, right? Because we are on this planet, we are the ones who are required to do the work. So that is in a nutshell, the trance channeling part. So there is another service that I do. It's called Sacred Crystal Sound. It is actually a very old method from the time Atlantis. So it is like thousands of years old. This method is a sound treatment. And I always say, depending on the person, if you would like to talk, then you can have the services together with Carla. If you are more like a person who does not want to talk about a certain topic, then I will offer the sound treatment. Because with the sound treatment, the mind is not being involved. So there's no way to steer the treatment. I'm not in control, but it's the higher self of the client that's in control what is going to happen.
So can you do this over the internet as well?
Yes. Yeah. Right. I have clients in the US, so whenever they are sleeping because of the time difference, I treat them during their sleep, because this is the most important thing, that the person who is going to be treated is as relaxed as possible. So the more relaxed, the more, the deeper the treatment can take place.
Right. So what else can you tell about them? Can you, get things, can you tell what's happened to their, can you see in their past? Can you see in their future?
Yeah, it depends. So I do see, sometimes I see like pictures, or I get the message or a word that can relate to like the future, or like an obstacle where the client is at the moment, and that they, for example, need to choose which direction they will need to go into. So I can guide people in that way. Not
Mm.
always do I receive messages or pictures, because sometimes it happens on layers that my mind is not able to understand what is going on. Because our bodies, we are not only have like a physical body, we have an emotional one, a mental one, and a spiritual one. So when work is being done in on one of those three bodies, it will have an effect on the physical one. But it again, like, I'm not able to control that, neither is the client. It is the higher self of the client working together with the sound, working together with the crystals.
Right, right. Wow, it sounds really I can't comprehend it. Maybe I
It's
should give it a
okay.
go.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
I see. No, that's okay. So so can you also access their past lives as well?
So how I see it, like a past life is, because we are using a linear time frame from past, present, future, the past life can be a parallel life, or whatever happened in a past life is still there in the present life.
I'm not sure what you mean by parallel. I mean, I've heard it before from other people as well, but I seem to struggle to understand how there can be a parallel universe or a parallel life. Because some people say to me, "Oh, there could be another you living the same life or another life, the same person as you on another planet." But I'm telling them, "But my soul is here, and my consciousness is here. So how can it be over there?"
This is what you've just said. Your consciousness is here, so you are only aware of this life.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I'm aware of this life. I'm
Yeah,
not aware of any other life.
no, which is okay, because it is otherwise mind-blowing for the mind, because it is just not able to understand what is going on. Maybe it is something, for us to understand in the future.
Maybe. So tell me more about that. Do you understand it?
This is not really my topic or my expertise, so
Right,
to
right,
say,
right.
but that's how I understand it. Is like, because our consciousness is here, our awareness is in this lifetime, and that is why we are experiencing this lifetime. But maybe you are, most likely our other one in a parallel life might think the same thing. Because they say, I'm only aware of this life, I'm not aware of the one on the planet Earth.
Yeah, yeah. I understand about past and future, but I just don't understand the parallel, the parallel one.
Yeah, I think that is okay. I don't think it is like, it's something major that we really have to understand, because we are here in the present. We are working with this lifetime. We are working with this body. So for me, in my eyes, it is the most important thing to concentrate on.
I see, I see, I see. So what's your biggest challenge that you've had to accomplish with one of your clients?
Oh, with my clients. What I have found very surprising, because I had a client who had trauma for relaxing,
Right.
and she took the sound treatment. And I explained to her a little bit about what it is about, and she's like, "I will contact you. I will do a treatment with you." So she came over, and she said, like, "Please remind me what I have to do." And I said, "Be as relaxed as possible." And then she says, "Yeah, that's exactly my problem." She said, "I've got a trauma of relaxing." And then, of course, my mind kicks in saying, like, okay, so how is this going to work out with the sound treatment? But everything went well. She came back, we did like several treatments, and I can see the process of the body reacting to the treatment, how it energetically changes also her mind in understanding it is okay to relax.
Okay, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you would like to say to the listeners, Cindy?
um Yeah, so what it comes to like the 3D and the 5D, this is a process that we are able to, it is in our hands, right? It is your choice to move on or to stay where you are, because some people don't want to move along. They are very happy to where they are right now, and they want to stay in the 3D. We are not able to force anyone to move on. It is all in their own judgment, or not judgment, but in their own choice. And for the ones who are willing to move to the 5D, I would say, because we can call this as like the ascension. It is the ascension that people or the humanity is going through. I would say be selfish when it comes to this, because it is you're the only person who's able to do it. There's no one else who's able to get you out of the fear element, because it is still your, you will need to.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say you're the only person that has that control to do that for yourself, to ascend. No one else can do it for you. And it's really, it's not completely selfish, because if we all look at ourselves and ascend, then more people will ascend.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's the entire point. It is like, so if you want others to move on as well, look, I'm very much aware that it's not easy, when you look at things from a different point of view, and you have friends or family members that you care about, that they are not seeing the things from the point of view where you are. And it is very difficult sometimes to accept that they are at that point, although you really would like for them as well to move on. But when you're doing your work and they see how you are evolving, they will become curious one day, and they will ask you, what are you doing? How are you looking at things? They will become curious of what is going on. So that is like a natural process.
So how do they perceive somebody that's, ascending? How do they see it? How do they see it?
That's a good question.
Yeah. How do they perceive it?
That's a good question, because I'm not even aware if people are actually aware of that. So there's like, someone told me, human beings or people, they're like unconscious of being unconscious. Next step is being conscious of being unconscious. And the last step is being conscious of being conscious. So people who are unconscious of being unconscious, they most likely do not even realize what you're doing.
Do you know what this is? This is the way this is my everyday process when I speak to people, by their actions and their behavior and what they say. This is, people that know me this is exactly how I think when I speak to people. I think he's not aware of his actions, or he doesn't know that he doesn't know.
Exactly.
Or he did that, but he didn't realize that he did that.
Yeah. And because you already went through the process yourself, it is for you very easy to actually see that, or to realize what is going on, but the person itself is not there yet.
I find the more conscious we are just with ourselves, automatically we become more conscious of others around us. You don't need to work on others. You just work on yourself, and that will come with it. But I guess it's the consciousness, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah. I see. Interesting. It just takes a bit to think about, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it is like the nicest part of being on this planet, because everyone wanted to be here for exactly this point, whatever it is going to happen. We all choose to be here. And it is, for me, when I went through the process of understanding myself, that is a very nice awareness, or this is the knowledge that you have, right? You will start to understand yourself. All the things that happened in the past when you were little and you were growing up in your teenage years, whatever happened to your life, that is your experience, it is your knowledge, that is like information that you have collected. And no one else can say you are wrong because it is not wrong.
But that's very interesting you say that about unconscious, because what you're trying to say is they're not aware of people who are ascending. So there are different types of people that will perceive it differently. There are people who are aware of it. There are people who are not aware of someone ascending. But let's talk about the people that are aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not, they're still in 3D. They haven't ascended, but they're very conscious. So how would they perceive somebody who's ascending? In your opinion, or
Yeah.
with your experience as well.
So my experience is that they are actually asking, because I do receive questions from people saying like, hey, I see that you are not reacting to what happened, or I see you remain calm, or like, so they become curious because from the inside they feel something happening. But then they would ask me like, how do you look at it? What is your perspective? And then I will share it, and then they see like what they can, look at it from them for themselves, within themselves.
You say that you said it doesn't. You don't. You've been told that you don't react to something that has just happened. For instance, for me, I've noticed that I'm not. It doesn't affect me as much when somebody has died or passed away as it did before. I feel like it doesn't affect me because I feel like we're immortal beings. So
Yeah.
they've just moved on to another vessel. Yes, I will miss them. Yes, I will be sad, but it doesn't affect me. I still feel peaceful about it. Why? Is that one of the? Is that another indication? Would you say that?
Oh,
That
for
hasn't
sure.
affected us?
Yeah, because I think that in the 3D perspective, death is seen as something terrible. It's like, oh, you will never ever see this person again. You're never ever going to talk to this person again. You're never ever going to be able to hug them. But because we are ahead of the game, so to say, we understand that there is reincarnation. We understand that this person is not completely gone. The soul is still there. You're still able to talk to the person who passed away, even when you are going to a medium or you're talking to them directly, just saying out loud, you're saying hi to your mom or your grandma or whoever, they hear it, and sometimes you even realize you hear something back, or you feel happy, and you start to, or at least your body starts to realize that they are actually there. So there's something, there are like little signs that people can
Acknowledge
yes,
a
exactly.
connection.
Yeah, there is something that they're actually replying, but not in a way when they were actually in a physical form.
Right.
So I totally understand, like, that you become less emotional because you see it from a different perspective.
And this is what we're talking about perspective and timelines. We're on a different timeline, So how when we see the signs to acknowledge the connection, as you just described, how do we know, or how can we compare the difference between our imagination from it actually being a connection or a sign? Is it a feeling from your soul as opposed to a physical thought or imagination, would you say?
I would say that it is different for each person, because some also say your imagination is actually not something that you have created, but it feels like an imagination because it is like a thought that comes in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is something that you have received, and every single person is able to do this. It also depends on in which area are you open. Are you open in hearing? Are you open into feeling? Or is it more like you're receiving a thought? It depends. So in this way, it is also learning who you are, like how do you receive the messages.
So if I want to become more open in receiving messages, be it listening or visual or in my head or something, just generally to open up all my senses, what do you advise me and the listeners to do more of so we can allow ourselves to be open to such senses, to the 5D and more?
I would say to be very still and ask yourself for this guidance. Because I can tell what you can do, but this might not resonate with you, or this is maybe not your path. So I cannot tell you what you are required to do. This is all for someone else to find out.
So what would be the path for you? Because I might want to try it out, and then if it doesn't work, then I'll move to the next path.
Yeah, just start somewhere because it doesn't really matter. If you start somewhere, you will notice immediately if it is something for you or not, because the process will stop. It feels like you hit a door or a wall and you're like, okay, this is not the right direction. So you will automatically try to find something else. Or someone comes to you and say like, hey, I found this out. What do you think? Let's try it together. So these are all things that are like spontaneously happen without actually having to look for it or think about it. But I would be like meditating. Have a question. Yeah, have a question and then meditate on the question. Because with meditation, you're required to shut down your mind. So your mind is not able to actually give you an answer, because that is then something like that you have created out of the mind.
So what you're doing is you're putting all the focus onto your being as opposed to your physical human mind.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you meditate and try to stay awake? Because every time I try to meditate, I just fall asleep.
I think it was very common for a lot of people, and it was for me as well at the beginning. Before I started to really meditate, I was like, how can people do this? Because after a minute, I already gave up. I was like, it's too busy in my mind. I'm falling asleep. I'm not conscious. It depends on. So what kind of meditation do you do? Do you like, you sit still and you close your eyes, or are you like doing guided meditation?
No, I like to listen to high vibrational music, dim the lights, lay on my back, and just, breathe comfortably and just enjoy being and just stay.
Okay. So what I've,
Am I
because now,
doing it wrong?
no, not at all. There's no wrong. If that works for you, then perfectly fine. But something that reminds me of like a person said, like, if you're going to bed, you lay down and you close your eyes. So your habit is already, when I lie down and I close my eyes, I'm going to sleep. So if you then try to actually to sit down and to pay attention to your breathing, and then while you're breathing, close your eyes, the mind will, or your brain will not switch into like sleeping state.
I see. Okay. It just needs practice. I guess it needs practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting. So
So go ahead.
no, please, you were going to say something.
Because everyone has their own process, right? Everyone, if for one person it takes a little bit longer, for someone else, as long as you start somewhere.
So how would you, what do you think about guided meditation, and what do you like about guided meditation?
I like guided meditation, to be honest, because this gives me more like the option to really feel where the journey is going.
Right. Okay. So is guided meditation when somebody is talking to you?
Yeah.
Right. Because I've never tried guided meditation. Is there different types of guided meditation?
Yeah. So you've got it is all It all depends again on the person, because it depends on the voice as well. So people can be very sensitive to the tone of voice that a person who's
Mm.
giving a meditation for. A person says like, it's too deep, it's too high, it goes too fast, it goes too slow. So it's really like, on YouTube you find multiple versions of meditations, and then you pick one and you try one out. But with guided meditation, it gives me as well, yeah, what I said, the possibility to go on a journey, but it doesn't necessarily say that I actually have to stick to whatever the other person is saying. I can stay in a certain spot and dwell there and see like, oh, maybe I will encounter something, or I receive a message, and then I want to stay longer in that vibration because the message that I'm receiving is still working.
You know, when you start meditating, is it have you know, do people, is it normal to tend to maybe start sweating? Is that something that you should, is it normal to experience that?
I think, let me see if I think I've sweated as well during meditations, because it is very possible that when you do a meditation that you are energetically are letting loose of something. So sometimes I either get it very hot or I start to become very cold. And then when I'm cold, I understand that something is being released, and that takes a lot of energy. So a lot of effort, like not effort, but like energy, to unleash a certain blockage or whatsoever. Yawning is also a sign of letting loose of energy. Crying is another method.
Yeah. So do you feel like an adrenaline of a rush in your body when you're, you know, meditating and, you know, you're in that element? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I don't think I do feel the adrenaline. Do
Right.
you?
I have done, yeah. I
Yeah.
have done, yeah. When, yeah. Um, Almost when, you know, when you try to astral project, which I've never done, by the way, but I would love to try. I heard it's, I mean, I heard it's some, you know, some people say it's safe and some people say it's not safe. Um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's always counter arguments, but personally, I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I just think it's only, you can do what you want. I mean, it's only unsafe if you allow the bad spirit. If you're doing everything with love and good positive vibrations, then you're always going to be safe. Um, that's the way I see it. But again, I might be wrong. It's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed when I do something like that or try to do something like that, I feel, you know, which is very rare, by the way. I feel like a really strong adrenaline in my body everywhere. You know, like vibrating almost, like, you
Oh,
know,
cool.
yeah.
So when you come out of this meditation, do you feel that you will need to take extra like action, or like action, but you really want to create or you want to build further on it?
Um, not that I remember, not that I
Mm.
remember, but it does make me curious. You know, why did I feel like that? I think why did I feel like that? I was just lying down. You know, was it a spiritual thing? I don't know. Yeah, something like that. But it's very subtle anyway.
Mm-mm.
Very subtle. Yeah. But it's interesting. I thought I'd ask, but like you said,
Yeah.
everyone feels different things.
Yeah, sometimes, when I meditate and I fall asleep, then I most likely, then I will think, okay, most likely my body needed to rest. Then my body is more tired than I realized and I just had to sleep. So all is okay.
Yeah.
It is just to find out which method fits you and in which way you're going to meditate, laying down or sitting up, or I don't know, just to find out what
Okay.
fits you.
Yeah, I guess everyone's different, I guess. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm-mm. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, Cindy, well, thank you very much for coming on. It's been lovely. Is there anything you want to tell the listeners before we go?
Yes, I would like to say that everything is going to be okay. Please concentrate on your own being and give the love that you are required to receive from yourself.
Thank you, Cindy. That's lovely. And we'll speak sometime soon again, okay?
Yes, it will be lovely. Thank you very much.
All right, you too. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye
Cheers.
bye.